Chapter 2, Responsibility. The Surgeon General Commanding General with the U.S. Medical Clinic with the Surgeon General with the Commanding General with the Med-Com and ensure with the policy with the receiver with the development comply with the regulation investigation with the FDA regulated product with the human and animal and include Schedule 1 controlled substance. Director of the Commanding General of the U.S. Medical Center of the U.S. Medical Research of the Material of Command, Clinical Investigation Regulatory Office of the Coordinate with the Monitor, Review with Approve of the Clinical Investigation, Review with the other DAs, with the FDA with the regulated products of the MTF and DTF. Use of the Surgeon General Authority sole responsible for the Army approved to provide regulatory oversight with all the research involving human subject with regard to the source of funding for the command and staff of the agency conducting the research. Surgeon General may further delegate the authority and ensure compliance with all federal Department of Defense Army regulations applicable to conduct the investigation use of the FDA regulated products. 2. Commander U.S. Medical Research Material Command. Commander U.S. Army Medical Research Material Command serve on the behalf of the Surgeon General sponsor with the DA sponsor of the investigation with conducted with the FDA with the regulated investigational products. Exercise of the Surgeon General delegated approval of authority investigation conducted with the DA sponsor with the FDA regulated investigation product investigation conducted with the other than the DA sponsor for the example of the commercial pharmaceutical device manufacturer. FDA regulated investigational product with the Army Research Development Testing and evaluation facility investigation involved with the Schedule 1 controlled substance conducted with managed by the Army Organization, maintain Office of Research Protection, maintain Human Subject Research Review Board to ensure that the research involved with the human participant is in compliance with the regulation governing such of the research. For example, Title 21 CFR 50, Title 32 CFR 219, Department of Defense Directive 32-1602, Army Regulation 7025. Ensure the maintenance of the independent with the quality with the management program and adequate internal controls oversight of the activities of the FDA regulated products. 2-3 Director Division of the Regulated Activity Compliance U.S. Army Medical Material Development Activities. The Commander of the U.S. Army Medical Material Development Activity Command delegated it with a sponsor representative of the Director of the Director Division Regulated Activity Compliance U.S. Army Medical Material Development Activity and a subordinate commander of the U.S. Army MRMC, Director of the DAR, or the Divisions of the Regulated Activity Compliance, acting with the sponsor of representatives, will ensure that all sponsors are responsible for defined in Title 21, CFR 312, Part D, Subpart D, with the Federal Drug Administration regulated products and fulfill for the responsibly exhaustive through the U.S. Army MMDA with a further delegation responsible for the organization U.S. Army MRMC with by agreement the external organization, for example, the contract research organization and the code of development and partner with ensure that the commanders of the U.S. Medical Material Development Activity in accordance with the Army Regulation 7057 are responsible to transferring sponsor responsible through appropriate clinical trial agreements, cooperative research of the development agreements with the memorandum of the understanding with the memorandums of agreements with the appropriate office of the research technology applications or equivalent organizational under the directive of the Division of Regulated Activities in compliance ensure with the FDA with the notified sponsor responsible transferred. Conduct post-marketing surveillance programs according to Title 21 CFR 314, 601, 814, and the EA sponsor for the new drug application biological licensing application 510Ks and pre-market approval applications glossary the definition of 5010K. Ensure training is available to investigate with the monitor conduct candidates if they may contribute to the select the training experience if it's required with the FDA. Submit with the DA sponsor for the investigational new drug with investigational device explanations, exemptions, the application for the amendment of the NDA, new drug applications, the biological license applications, the pre-market approval applications, the 510Ks or to the FDA. Maintain the sponsor record of the Surgeon General sponsored application. Utilize the Title 21 CFR 312 and 32 definition review of the safety information of the INDS. Investigational new drug and safety reports of Title 21 CFR 812 150 for any reports regarding unanticipated adverse effects associated with the use of the investigation device. Ensure clinical monitor DA sponsored investigation FDA regulated investigational product with deductive with the current FDA regulation guidance for the trip of the primary contact formal and informal communication with the FDA. Coordinate with the organization that developed it with the Surgeon General approval of the FDA regulated products to ensure that the sponsor responsibilities are fulfilled. 2-4 the Commander of the Regional Medical Commander of the Commander of the Regional Medical Commanders of the Forward Commander on Medical the Center of the Schedule of the CIRO 1608 Stanley Road, Fort Sam, Houston, Texas 78 23 4 50 55. Research protocols using sponsor investigator sponsor of the other with the Surgeon General sponsor of the Federal Drug Administration for the regulated investigational product with the command except for the involving Schedule 1 control substance. Substance, forwarded through the CIRO. To the Office of Research Protection, 504 Scott Street, Fort Derrick, Maryland, 2172 5012. Research Protocol DA for the FDA Regulated Investigational Products for the RMC Regional Medical Commands. All research protocols Schedule 1 Controlled Substance. Ensure compliance with all of the federal DO, Department of Defense, Army regulation applicable to conduct the research for the FDA Regulated Investigational Products. Ensure the DA medical research, development of FDA Regulated Investigational Products and humans comply with the FDA regulations, recommendations of the ICH. I'm not sure what ICH stands for. Found in ICH guideline publications to plan with the conduct of medical research with appropriate population selection conduct research outside the continental United States. 2.5. Commander of the 18th Medical Command with the Commander of the 18th Medical Command will afford the Office of the Research of the Protections at 504 Scott Street with the Fort Derrick, Maryland, 2172 with a 5012 for approval and client protocol for the FDA regulated for the investigation products used within the 18th Medical Command within those involved in Schedule 1 control substance regards over the sponsor. Active with approval of the authority, emergency procurement of the investigation product facilities are the organizational part of the 18th Medical Committee with the ensure compliance with the federal DOD with the Army regulation applicable to conduct with the research for the use of the FDA regulated investigational products. Ensure the DA medical research for the developers with the regulated investigational product for the humans comply with the FDA regulation recommendations of the ICH for the ICH guidelines and publications to plan, conduct medical research appropriate to population selection with the conduct research for the OCONOS. 2.6 Commanders, research for the development, testing, evaluation, organization commander for the Research Test Developing Testing Evaluation Organization Forward with the Office of the Research Protection, 504 Scott Street, Fort Derrick, Maryland, 2172 with a 5012 with a review of the approval of clinical protocol, conduct or managed by the other organization, FDA regulated investigation promptly within the clue of the Schedule 1 controlled substance regulator is responsible for the ensure the investigator coordinated the integrated product development team to the clinical trial responsible for the during the preparation DA response protocol, ensure the Federal Department of Defense Army regulations applicable to the research of the FDA with the regulated investigational products are met with ensure the FDA with the medical research for the developers to do with the regulated investigational products and the human comply with the FDA regulations recommendations of the ICH or with include with the ICH guidance for the guideline publications to plan, conduct medical research appropriate to population selection and conduct the research in the OCONOS. 2.7 the Army Medical Department Center within school with the Clinical Investigation Regulatory Office of the Army Medical Department Center in the school with the Clinical Investigation Regulatory Office. Clinical Investigating Regulatory Office acting on the focal point review for the forward to the ORP with the clinical protocol for the conduct of the Medical Command, MTF, the DTF, involving with the Department of Army responsible for the Federal Drug Administration with the regulated investigational product with the FDA regulated investigational products funded and managed by the Research, Development, and Testing and Evaluation Organization. Everyone approval or disapproval of the Commanding General Medical Command clinical protocols using other than the DA sponsor for the FDA with the regulated investigation product to conduct with the Med Command with the MTF of the DTFs, ensure that the federal DOD with the Army regulations applicable to conduct with clinical research for the FDA with the regulated investigational products or remember the issue of the letter of approval to the respective department of clinical investigation, ensure that the DA medical research for the development of regulated investigation product for the human apply with the Federal Drug Administration regulations recommendation ICH, ICF the guidance publication, plan conduct medical research appropriate population selection conduction of the OCONOS be approved through the approval of the authority of emergency procurement of the drug devices biological use in practice for the medicine with the investigational product for the MedCom, the MTF, the DTFs. 2.8 institutional laboratories within the treatment facility with all human subjects research with the supported with the conducted with the by with the DOD will be conducted with the assurance of the compliance with acceptable for the funding agency research with the performed with the Department of Defense facility with the funding with the Department of Defense will have with the Department of Defense assurance of compliance. Other than the Department of Defense institutional laboratory treatment facility with the conduct with the Department of Defense support with research involving human participants they do not have to have federal-wide assurance must obtain with the federal-wide assurance or assurance of the compliance with the human research participation protection with the Department of Defense assurance required for the research investigative and institutional review board members and staff of the relevant personnel maintain with the continuing knowledge of the compliance with the federal regulation of the applicable guidance, state, local laws, institutional policies for protection human participants in research. 2.9 Investigators will be selected by the sponsor with the made experience for the qualification include with the appropriate license and credentials confidential privileging of the requirements of the research, medical, and the practice of the organization. Investigators represent under the Title 21 CFR 312 of the Part 2 of the restate of the Block 9 comments of the commitments of the FDA with the Form 1572 statement of the investigator. The investigator may act attention to abide with the responsibility with the he or she signs with the form. Investigator commits are I agree to conduct the studies of the accordance with the relevant current protocol. Will only make the change of the protocol, notifying the sponsor, exploring, except with the necessary to protect the safety, rights, and welfare of the subjects. I agree with the personal conduct of the supervisor. Described investigation. 3. I agree to inform any patient that any person with the use and control of the drugs are maintained with the investigational purpose of the will ensure with the requirements and related to the obtainment and informed consent of the Title 21 CFR 50. And the Investigational Review Board review approval of the Title 21 CFR 56 are met. If I agree with the response of the adverse experience with the course of the investigation of the Title 21 CFR 31264. I have read and understand the information of the investigation brochure that include the potential risks and side effects of the drug. I agree with all the associate colleagues employees that assisting with the conduct of the studies are informed about the obligation to meet with above the commitments. I agree to maintain adequate and accurate records of the make with the record of the availability and inspection with the accordance with the appropriate FDA regulations. I will ensure that the investigation review board complies with the requirements of Title 21 CFR 56 with the responsibility for the initial continuing with the review and approval of the clinical investigation. I offer the prominently report the investigation review board all change with respect research activity and unanticipated problems involved with the risk of the human subject for the other. Additionally, will not make any change with the research for the investigation without investigational review board approval, except for the necessary to eliminate apparent with the immediate hazard for the human subject. I agree to comply with all the other requirements required for the obligation clinical investigators, all the other pertinent requirements of Title 21 CFR 312. Investigators will comply with the other requirements of Title 21 CFR Subpart D. Investigators will comply with the other requirements of the Title 21 CFR 50, Title 21 CFR 54, and Title 21 CFR 312. Investigators responsible for the clinical test and trial of the devices are found in Title 21 CFR 812. So for the devices, for the sponsorship of the development and investigator agreement include the elements of Title 21 CFR 812.43c in lieu of the FDA Form 1572. Sponsors shall have the investigators sign the agreement prior to the participation in the study. Chapter 3, Scientific Institutional Review Board approval of the submission of the Human Research Protocol of the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.